Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about starting a mill hill kit. I purchased this mill hill kit at my LNS. This one is called Luck of the Irish. I've always loved this one. And I had a gift certificate, so I said why not, because I knew I could then do a video talking about it. It was $14.50 from my LNS, and when you flip it around, here's what you see. Now, I also, because like I said, I had a gift certificate, if you see, they have, Mill Hill makes 6x6 frames with a 5x5 opening, so you can frame these yourself if you want. So I actually bought one of the frames. Let me get you back in here. It is this, it's like purpley blue. And I figured it would look good up against the green because there is blue in the rainbow. And this frame was $16.50. So, yeah, I'm going to frame that when I'm done stitching it. So, let's crack open this kit and take a peek and see what's in here, and I will let you know how I would go about stitching one of these. I've stitched on perforated paper before. I've actually started on one Mill Hill kit a long time ago. I think it was the chocolate cupcake. There's the big ball of floss, the button, and then they have 2 packs of beads. And what's nice is they give you the needles to stitch everything. There's a beading needle in there. There's actually 4 needles in there. There are 2 beading needles and 2 stitching needles. Not sure if you can see that. See those needles? Yeah, that's pretty cool. So there's a pack of beads. And then there is another pack of beads. These look like they are just gold and blue. Those are multicolored. You also get the pattern. We'll go over that in a second. And then you get the piece of perforated paper. Now, the one thing I do with my perforated paper, okay, this one is green. I put my perforated paper, instead of holding it in my hand, I put them on stretcher bars. These are the mini stretcher bars. I actually have a tutorial on how to attach your fabric to it. It's even easier to attach perforated paper to it. But how you make the stretcher bars, the frame I mean, you just fit them together, and the mini ones go together pretty easy. You just fit them together so they make a perfect square. And I'm doing it off camera, but I will show you here in a second. And sometimes I have to press them into the floor, and I'm going to have to do that because the sides are not going together like I want. I'll be right back. Okay, and sometimes I even have to use a hammer on the corners to get them flush. But then what I do is I will lay the paper over the stretcher bars like this, and then I use these little tacks that you can actually get from 1-2-3 Stitch. That's where I got mine. Or down Sunshine Lane. Amy has them also. And all you have to do is go around. Like I said, I demonstrate this in the video, but all I do is just, you can press them in with your thumb because the wood's pretty soft, and you just tack all the way around. So this holds the paper taut and you're not bending it or ripping it with your fingers. So, how do you proceed to read a Mill Hill kit and get to stitching. Okay, let's take a look at the pattern. It has on the very front all of the floss colors. What's good is that they use DMC. So if you run out of any thread, you can replace it very easily without having to write the company. Now, here are all the bead colors pertaining to each symbol. And they have right here, see the asterisk next to Petite Rainbow, Victorian Gold, Periwinkle. It says right here, these beads are bagged together in one bag. All other beads are bagged together in a second bag. So because those are the Petite Rainbow, it's this bag. It has all different colors. And then the rest of the ones are in this bag. These are gold. Wait a minute. Petite Rainbow. Okay. Then what are those? Are there really that many buttons on this? Where's the cover? I mean, beads? Yeah, there's beads. Oh, there's beads all the way around this. Now I understand. Okay. But yeah, first look at your color key. And what I like to do is actually separate the floss. I'm going to put these bead packs aside. I do the beading. You can do it as you go along. And some people do, but for something like this, you could probably even do the beading at the end. It's your personal preference. So, the first thing I do is I will separate this floss by colors. Like I will pull out, first off I will pull out the easy ones and just sort of pile them up right there. There's a dark green, and I'm always consulting this to make sure I have all of the colors. Now there is a dark green and a medium green, so I have to pay attention to that. And you can tell which is which. Now I would do this under a daylight lamp, just so you really can tell. Like those are both dark green, so that's the same color. I think there's, oh, maybe that's the medium green. I mean, is there a black? No, there's a black. Okay. So there is, that's the dark green because here's the medium green. There's two of the medium green. Now they suggest in this kit for stitching on perforated paper to use 3 strands. I never do that. I always do 2 strands just because I like the coverage for 2 strands, and 2 strands are easier to work with than 3 strands. I'm just separating all these out. There's only 1 strand of each of these colors. This is actually for the rainbow in the pattern, because there's a bunch of gold colors, so, or yellow, so I'm going to wait until the end to separate those out. And what I would also do, once I separate out all of the threads, I would actually make my own color card. Like I would get a piece of cardstock, or you can even use another piece of perforated paper, use a hole puncher and punch holes in it, and then I would just, you know, loop these on there. Or if you have one of those, you know, cards left over from like Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, if you ever order anything from them, or from a Shepherd's Bush kit, you know, they have the heart that has a floss card in it. Just something to keep all of these separated. Okay, here is black. I'm going to put that to the side. And then there is another dark green. Okay. There is a brown. Is there a brown? It's called, okay. The 3 yellow. Now see, here's all the rest and it's all yellow. So I got to separate that because that's supposed to be medium yellow, dark yellow, light yellow, and gold. So there's supposed to be 4 shades of yellow in here. So let me move all these so I can kind of show you how I go ahead and decipher that. I actually can't wait to stitch this one. I may start this one in March for St. Patrick's Day. Okay. Let me scoot up here in my chair. Now, the darkest shade is this shade. So I'm guessing that's supposed to be dark yellow. Or would that be considered gold? See, okay, there's another, let me see what the symbol is for that. What's the symbol for dark yellow? It's a star. It's in the outline of the letters. Yeah, okay, that is dark yellow. Like I said, you need to consult this and consult your cover thing if you have trouble separating or figuring out which color is which. And you can also, if you have the entire line of DMC, you can also pull these out. That would give you a good indication as well. Because look, they have dark yellow as 3820. You could pull out 3820 from your stash and say, okay, what's that look like in this pile? So I'm going to pull out all of those dark colors. And like I said, doing this under a daylight lamp for me is imperative because I would never be able to figure this out otherwise. And so far I'm doing pretty good. Now remember, we're supposed to have 4 different colors of yellow. So here is a light yellow. This looks like, yes, 3822. So we'll put those. Actually, I'm just going to try to separate them out first, and then we're going to figure out which is light, medium, dark, and then gold. I just want to match them up all in the same piles first. And obviously not all Mill Hill kits have this many colors. Some have more, some have less. Just depends on what kit you wind up picking out. Okay. I think there's one more of that right here. Okay. Oh, I meant there's another one. Now, I think I'm going to have a little bit of trouble. This looks like I said, the dark yellow. And this looks like the light yellow. So I'm looking for a medium yellow and a gold. These look, this all looks gold, doesn't it? And it's like, okay, how do I figure out I'm just going to start pulling them out one by one. Whoops, didn't mean to shake the camera there. Yeah, I mean, they look exactly the same. Does that look the same? It does. I mean, this looks all the same. This looks like gold. Yeah, I'm going to have to pull out the DMC and figure this out because I'm having a hard time deciphering what's medium yellow and what is gold. So what, 725 and then 3829. Yeah, okay, I'm going to pause the video. I am going to grab those two colors because, I mean, these are definitely different. You can definitely tell. But you know what? I'm going to grab all four of these so I can show you what I'm talking about as far as matching them up. So I will be right back. Okay. Here is 3822, which is the light yellow, which I was right about that. Here is 3829, which is the gold color. So I was wrong about that, but that is definitely that color. So then the other two, light yellow and dark yellow, are 3822 and 3820. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. It's the medium yellow, which is 725, and then the dark yellow, which is 3820. And you can see how close they are. Now, I am going to try to separate these. I think this is going to be a little bit of a guessing game. I think with some of these colors, you need to use your best judgment if they are very, very close. Like, I mean, look how close that is. When you hold them up side by side, I'm thinking that's that one though. I'm going to do this strand by strand because I don't know any other way to do it. And I'm guessing, I mean, that looks like that too. That looks like that one too. And I'm guessing that sometimes there are mistakes made. See, these just look all like that shade so far. I don't see any. I mean, when you look at these two side by side, you can see this is a brighter yellow. I'm not seeing any of that yellow. Not yet, anyway. Maybe as we pull some more. No, that looks like that too. No, but what I was going to say is I'm guessing sometimes there are mistakes made, meaning that maybe sometimes there is a color forgotten, and that's the great thing about it being DMC, is that let's just say I decide that all of these are this color, which I'm coming to that conclusion. They all look like that 3820. Then I would literally just use my skein of 725 for that other shade of yellow. Yeah, they all look like 3820. So in my opinion, I'm missing 725. So I would take that chance. I would just use this skein of 725 as the medium yellow, because this 3820 is supposed to be the dark yellow. Okay, so to me that's the hardest part, is separating all of the floss. So if you put all that aside, next we are going to look at the instructions and the pattern, because they do talk to you and tell you a way to do it. So let's look at the instruction packet. Obviously it says, please read all instructions before beginning this product. Stitch from the chart, not the cover picture. There may be a slight variation. So they say step 1, do all the stitching first before attaching the beads. It's just like when you stitch a mirabilia or whatever. If you want to bead as you go along, bead as you go along. I like to bead as I go along, so I'm not doing all the beading at the end. But then they say step 2, attach all beads as charted. And when you attach the beads, they want you to use the floss color that's the same color as the bead. And then they tell you step 3 to attach the button. Now, I would follow that. I would attach the button last. And the button on this, there's always a button. Mine's a red star button. And it goes, if you look, it's right here. So yeah, you would want to do that last. And then it tells you to frame the stitch piece with the 6x6, like that frame that I just showed you. Now they suggested a matte black one. I got a blue one. You can get whatever color you want. It doesn't matter. So they also give you stitch and bead diagrams, which is awesome if you're just starting out and you've never either done cross stitch or beading. They show you how to do cross stitch and they show you how to do beading and then how to attach a button. So the general stitching instructions, they tell you to find the center of the paper. Yeah, on the wrong side of the paper, which I'm going to show you that in a second here as soon as I move all this floss. So on the wrong side of the paper, the right side is the colored side. If you look at the other side, this is brown. You would draw, before you attach it to the stretcher bars, you would draw an X. Draw a diagonal from corner to corner, corner to corner, and then where they intersect in the middle is the center of your chart. And then you look at the center arrows on the chart to determine the center of the design, and they say to start stitching in the center. So let's take a peek at the chart. I'm going to show you the chart just for demonstration purposes. I don't think it's a huge deal because, yeah, it's only going to be a second. So if you look here, here's an arrow, here's an arrow. Where they meet in the middle, which is right here, that's where they tell you to start stitching. Now, you could do it a different way. That's probably the easiest way to make sure that your piece is perfectly centered on... Why is that doing that? It's like a piece of the paint. No, it was a piece of fuzz. Okay. That would be the easiest way to make sure that you have enough for framing and that you're not too far over. But because this piece is a square and you know that the design is 5x5 and this is a 6x6 piece of paper, you could start ½ inch in, ½ inch, and do it start up in the corner. You could start, you know, up here if you wanted to. But if you have any questions about that, I would suggest just starting in the middle. So they tell you the floss length in general, use an 18-inch to 36-inch length of floss. Like I said, they recommend 3 strands of floss. I only use 2 because I can use the loop method and it's easier for me to handle 2 strands than it is 3. They tell you how to begin the first stitch and how to cross stitch. And then they tell you about the paper. The paper the color is called Holly Green. It's 14 count paper. All their perforated papers 14 count. Each intersection on the chart represents 1 hole on the paper. Meaning, you know, 1 square here represents 1 square here. This is just like Ada, actually, the perforated paper. And then they talk about the needles that they include. They give you 2 size 24 tapestry needles, and then the beading needle is a size 10. And then they talk to you about the beading. Carefully separate the beads, matching the colors to the description. If the beads are close in color, they are separate. If there are beads close in color, they are in separate bags. You use 2 strands of floss to do the beading. Okay, so they say that unless otherwise indicated in the color code, seed beads, which are the size 11, are attached with a half cross stitch, and petite seed beads, which are, I'm pretty sure it's 15, size 15, are attached with a cross stitch going through each bead twice so that it lies vertically. for me, and I've done quite a bit of beading and mirabilias and things like that, whether the bead is a seed bead or a petite bead, I use the same technique. I do the half cross stitch. Yeah. Okay, so now as far as separating the beads, this looks very painstaking to separate the beads. Personally, I don't think I'm going to do that, even though there's all these colors. The only colored beads that there are is in the rainbow. There really aren't that many. In my opinion, I could just look through here. If they say, okay, there's a line of green, well, these are all the greens. Instead of just, to me, trying to separate the beads looks like a giant pain in the ass. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I probably, though, would dump these in one of my little bead case things. You know that big bead case I have? I have some empty cases. I would dump these in there just so they're a little bit easier to get out of instead of trying to get them out of this Ziploc bag every time I needed to bead. Yeah. Oh, and then like I said, the thread card. If you have a thread card, you can make one. Or if you have one from another kit or something, I would suggest winding the floss on a thread card and writing the DMC number on there so you can easily find which color you need. And I think that's it. What's nice is the pattern is very easy to read. You can see part of it. It's very easy to read, really big. And working on perforated paper, I love it. You can see the holes. I never have any problem. It's something that you can hold in your hand. I mean, this is only, 6 by 6, and these stretcher bars are very, very lightweight. And for me, stitching on paper, my stitches are pretty uniform because unlike linen or even weave, there really is no give. I mean, this is paper, right? Yeah. So that's it for today's video, folks. I hope this was helpful for those who wanted to know how to start a Mill Hill kit or what was involved in it. Don't let any of these kits scare you. It's just about taking one bead, one stitch at a time. Anyone can do these. And they have so many designs out there that something will appeal to everyone, and these kits are really fantastic. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.